Hi Greedy 3Ders. Now I really love Predator movies. The two of my favourites would be Prey and of course the original Predator movie. So today, courtesy of Wicked, and thank you Wicked for giving us this fantastic file, I'm going to be making this Predator and Arnie or Dutch model from the Wicked3D Patreon. Link in the description where you can get this model from their Patreon. But I'll show you how I made this model all up. And also, I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between these two clear resins. Stay tuned. So, some time ago I made the Prey model using some clear resin for the Predator. I think, personally, there's only one way to make a Predator when it's on a base like this, and that's to put it in its invisible state, and I really enjoy that. I think the risk you get with any clear resin is the risk of it going yellow, and the previous Prey model that I did go a little bit yellow, but not so with this one. And that's because I am using this incredible resin. This is Jam J High Clear Water Washable Resin. It's a clear resin, and here you can see that it's printed the Predator on my Uniformation GK2, and it looks clear as glass. It is beautiful, and the good thing with this resin, it is really easy to sort out after you've finished your model. Well, what you do when you've finished it is clean the parts thoroughly in clean, and I say big capital letters, clean IPA. You don't want dirty IPA getting on it, and when you've done it, just cure it for 2 minutes, and that's it. Simple, done and dusted. Nothing spectacular, no added dyes, no added messing about. Just clean it with clear IPA, cure it for 2 minutes, and these are the results that you will get with it. Now I know it's water washable, but I find clearing it with IPA does it much better, gets all the stickiness off it, and just look at the end result. That speaks volumes. This Predator model by Wicked is absolutely incredible, and this Jam J High Clear resin just does it absolute credit. Just look at the detail in the small parts. Each layer on the printer was a 3.5 seconds exposure time. It took a little bit longer to expose, but that was after quite a few tests, and 3.5 seconds is the key. It all glued together really easily, and I did it straight after I'd finished curing it with some super glue and some super glue activator, because this is of course how I want to print the model. Now I've printed him solid, I didn't want to see any supports through it, and just look at that, absolutely beautiful. No yellowing, no staining, no marks, it all just looks, wow, I'm just blown away by how incredible it is. Get yourself some of this Jam J High Clear resin. There will be of course a link in the description where you can get it from, and I've made both heads, the helmeted and the unhelmeted. What the hell are you head? All parts of the base have been printed with some Jam J High Speed PLA on my Creality K1, and that's made it really easy to print them, and the quality of the printers come out absolutely perfectly. I've also used some Jam J Standard Plus resin to make Dutch. Now you can see there's a couple of gaps in him here where I've joined him together, but have no fear, with a little bit of resin welding using a precision bottle, and after a little bit of a clean up, all the gaps are gone, and Dutch is ready for the next step, which will be the painting after the sanding down and prepping, etc, which we do with all of our models. I'm going to give everything, the whole thing, except of course the Predator, a coating of Chaos Black. This is a wonderful primer, a little bit more expensive than your base ones, but it's the one I use all the time, and it gives fantastic results, and it doesn't take a month to dry. It'll dry in an hour or so. It's wonderful stuff. And once I've done that, I'm also using some of this Army Painter, a Barbarian skin colour primer, to just go over Arnie's arms and his head, which I am precariously balancing so that they don't fall to the floor and smash to bits. That's the base layer of that on. Now that's a little bit of a dark layer, so I want to lighten it up a little bit, and to do that I've created, using some basic skin tone from Vallejo, an airbrush friendly version of this, just using some thinner and some paint, about 3/4 thinner to 1/4 paint, and I popped it into my airbrush there. You can see the watery texture, and all I'm going to do is give him a quick layer from top down, just to give him a highlighted coat of this base colour. Now, you know, with these kind of things you're going to need to add some reds in it and add some browns in, but we'll do that in a wash a little bit later. But these two colours are perfect for skin tones. Again, I'm doing exactly the same on his arm, coming top down to where the lighter colour would hit it, and again on his other muscly arm. Now these arms are going to need some veins, and we're going to come to putting some veins on there. I'll show you how to do it a little later on. Now taking some of this Martian brown for the tree on a nice thick dry brush, I'm going to give it a coat all over, almost like a dry dry brush, sort of standard, but I want some of the black to shine through, and I don't want it to be completely brown. I want to give it plenty of contrast. So while that's drying, some brush on primer for the rocks, and I am still dry brushing, but this time the grey colour across all the rocks on this wonderfully detailed base. I'm taking now some ochre green, and I'm just going to paint a little bit of the foliage. There's a lot of foliage on this model which I did not print. I didn't want to add too much of this kind of foliage to it, so I added a little bit of something of my own design and manufacture later, which I'll show you. This is now some lighter brown that is going on to add a little bit of je ne sais quoi to the tree and make it look a little bit more realistic. Next step will be to add some stone golem to the rocks. Again, dry brushing. Everything on this has really been dry brushed, just to bring the rocks to life a little bit more and add a highlighted coat onto them. Just 2 greys, and that's all I've done for the rocks. I'm not going to make a huge meal out of doing these rocks. My favourite ever army painter colour, skeleton bone, is next to add a little bit of a lighter coat to the outer edges of the tree. Again, I just want to give it a lighter, different shade to translate into different shades of brown across the tree and make it look obviously a lot more interesting on the eye and a little bit more realistic. I want the ends to look like they've dyed a little bit. I'm using some bright gold to make that brassy kind of look to the casings from his ammunition that's lying scattered around the jungle floor here. And once I've done that, I'm taking this brighter colour green to just give the foliage a little bit of a lighter shade of green across, and I'm just adding this in certain areas on the plants to make them look brighter in the centre. Now, some soft tone. This is the magic with the tree, and I'm not using anything delicate here. I'm just splodging it on and I'm rubbing it in, and this soft tone on the browns has really changed the whole nature of how this tree looks. It's really brought it to life. I really emphasise, do not miss out the wash stage on the tree. It has made it look absolutely amazing. I'm now taking some Vallejo mud, and again I could have just painted this brown, but I wanted to add another effect onto it, and this real mud effect is a wonderful look to the floor of the jungle, and again it will look a lot better than just some brown. So splodge it on with a nice big brush. It washes off the brush fine, do not worry. And I've added some tufts of grass just from an Army Painter Battlefield basing kit, just to add a few little tufts of foliage lying around the floor, sticking out of the mud. And there we go. There's the base so far. We're going to do a little bit more to it, but you get the gist. You see the contrast, a little bit of a skeleton colour there. You can see the tree, and you can see what I mean about the wash. It's really just sunk into the dark areas, and it looks like wood. And again, all those different colours making it look like the tree has died the further across to the outer edges of the boughs that you go. And that's how I did the tree. It wasn't hard, it wasn't complicated, it wasn't rocket science. Just a couple of browns dry brushed across, and the rest of the base is done and dusted. Now, to add some foliage, I'm using this Army Painter Undergrowth here, and you can get this, and I'll put a link in the description from the mighty Amazon, and I've literally just glued it on in certain places to add a little bit more colour to the model and a little bit of a different texture to it. I really like this foliage, and I think it looks really lovely on that base, and that base is pretty much done now. I did a whole video on how I do veins, and what I found is that this Console Blue, which is an Army Painter Air Mega Set colour, is wonderful for veins. Now yes, don't be fooled, it looks like it's standing out far too much at the moment. We're going to work on that. All you need to do is take a really fine brush and just copy the veins that are in the model, and this Wicked model has got quite a few veins, thick ones and thin ones. Copy them all on his hands and his arms, and don't worry that they look really dark. We will be coming back to them to address that, trust me on this one. Now, doing the head here, I'm not going to go through the whole detail of doing heads. You've seen me do heads and faces a myriad of times. To keep it really brief, black in the eyes, white in the eyes, painting the hair, painting the eyebrows, a little bit of pink under the eye, a little bit of black around the outside of the eye. You get the gist. I'm not going to bore you with the whole detail. Needless to say that once we did this face here, it was a little too pale, as you'd expect, so I put a little bit of a red wash on it, a yellow wash, and then a brown wash, and I added a little bit more of a brown wash to where his whiskers would be, to give him that look like he's had a 5 o'clock shadow, like he's been up all night with a predator. Now, going back to those veins, taking the base colour, which is the flesh colour from Vallejo, on a dry brush, I'm just going to dry brush across the veins, and straight away you can see that they start to vanish into the background, but just leave a delicate little cue behind, and that is what we want to do with the veins. Don't put too much paint on them, just put a little bit of dry brushed paint on there and put more on. It's easier to put more on than to take it off. So when you start to see them fading away, that's when you stop. Again, here we go on his hand. It's really sticking out there. A little bit of that dry brush base colour across, and the veins will go. Now don't worry if it looks a little bit pale, because we're going to be coming back into these two arms with the wash that I'm going to be putting on, and that will bring some red back into them. We're going to do a red wash, we're going to do a yellow wash, we're going to do a brown wash right the way across them, and that will give them some life. But you can see now that the veins have started to edge into the background and are just starting to poke through the skin. Now I've taken some leather brown here on his trousers. I've given him a whole coat of green, a dark green colour, and I'm going to dry brush some brown on his trousers, and that's his trousers done. Getting some hemp rope for the top of him, and I'm going to dry brush that across the top. And now I've got some brown trousers, and I've got like a khaki green top on him, just with some simple dry brushing of two different colours over a dark green base. I'm painting the grenade silver, and I'm going to do all the little buckles and other bits on him that need to be silvered too as part of that little package. And then I'm going to take some skeleton bone, and I'm just going to go over some of the higher areas of the trousers and on the jacket as well, to make it look worn and tatty and battered in certain places. And that's the dry brushing of him pretty much done and dusted. Here you can see me just putting that one of the washes on. It's not rocket science again. Put the wash on, take a cloth and just dab it off until you see that red hue remain in the background. I'm not going to show you on this video, but I've just repeated it with a yellow wash, and I did it with a brown wash. But just remember, and I should have said this, before you do the washes, you need to use a clear coat on it to protect all that paint, or the wash is just going to rub it off. The face is done, the arms are done, it's all been washed up. Now I'm going to add a little bit of black onto his gun, and once the whole gun is painted, I'm just going to give that a little bit of a silver dry brush. I'm going to dry brush his knife and his pistol, and he is done and dusted. Let's have a look at the final product. Thanks for watching today, Greedy 3Ders. As always in this part of the video, I'd like to thank my Patreons for their support. If you want to join the Patreon scheme, please have a little look in the description. All the details will be in there. It's free to join if you want it to be free, or if you want to donate a little bit to the channel to help me continue to make stuff like this, then you can donate as little as £1 to join the paid tier of the Patreon. If you're a paid Patreon, I'll send you a Captain Britain file as well, and check that out in the description. If you want to support the channel in other ways, please like, subscribe. Those are free and easy and quick to do. If you do it now, I'll be your bestest friend forever. And the other ways you can support the channel is to have a little look at the item description. There's an affiliate link in there, Amazon affiliate link. If you want to buy anything from that, then you will do me a favour and a little bit will kick back to the channel. If you buy some Jam J High Clear through the link as well, I get a little bit of an affiliate kickback as well. It doesn't cost you guys any more, but a little bit will kick back. And again, all this just helps me to continue to make these models, which I really, really hope you guys enjoy. If you've got any comments, any queries, any questions, just ask away as usual in the little box that YouTube allows you to do such a thing in. And I'll see you real soon next time on Greedy 3D. Thanks for watching.